Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host Kirsch1 and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue with more Imperial Guard regiments that you guys requested. Let's get into 40 facts about the Tallarn Desert Raiders. The Tallarn Desert Raiders is the name given to those Imperial Guard regiments raised from the desert world of Tallarn, who are highly skilled at desert and mobile armored warfare. The Desert Raiders are mobile guerrilla fighters, evasive and opportunistic. They are especially known for their lightning-quick Sentinel and hard-hitting tank squadrons, and are masters of hit-and-run mobile warfare. Once a fertile agri-world, Tallarn was devastated early in the history of the Imperium. During the dark days of the Horus Heresy in the early 31st millennium, the warriors of the Iron Warrior Traitor Legion unleashed powerful virus bombs upon the world's surface, scouring it of almost all life, and leaving only a few pockets of survivors in subterranean shelters. When the Iron Warriors descended from orbit to claim and fortify their poisoned world as one of their countless citadels, they faced immediate and savage resistance from those who had survived, braving the surface in armored vehicles that would protect them from the virus-infested air. What followed, simply dubbed the Battle of Tallarn, remains to this day the single largest tank engagement in the history of the Imperium, with hundreds of millions of vehicles clashing and withdrawing in brutal exchanges over the course of months. In spite of the sheer size of the conflict, the Tallarn people could not hope to face the traitor Astartes in open battle, and instead quickly mastered guerrilla warfare strategies that allowed them to better elude the retaliation of the Iron Warrior forces, vanishing beneath the sands after each battle, only to engage it in another one elsewhere. The Iron Warriors withdrew from the world that had been so costly to them, and the people of Tallarn were given the opportunity to rebuild. To this day, the Tallarn have a particularly fearsome reputation for armored warfare, and their tank crews are rightfully feared. In the centuries following the Horus Heresy, the poisons and pathogens in the atmosphere diminished, but the world was forever changed. In place of rolling hills, bountiful fields, and broad seas, were dunes of sulfurous sand, sun-scorched plains, and mesas of wind-scoured rock, with what little water remained lingering as vapor in the sky. Constructing tall vapor traps that could gather this vital moisture and expanding their subterranean homes with tunnels, caverns, and surface domes, the population was protected from the deadly sandstorms and extreme conditions. Tallarn has remained this way for millennia. With so little to offer the Imperium's tithe collectors, the Tallarn can reasonably give only soldiers, and they do so with pride, owing to the subterranean tunnels they grow up in. The barren deserts of their homeworld surface, the Tallarn people are skilled in fighting across open ground and in narrow tunnels alike. Tallarn regiments still favor the hit-and-run tactics mastered by their ancestors during the Horus Heresy, moving swiftly and striking with surprise and precision before retreating to regroup and stage the next attack. For this reason, the most common Tallarn regiments are infantry, Rough Rider cavalry mounted on horses, or the reptilian Mukali, or armored regiments, all of which focus on some particular element of the favored strategies of the Tallarn: stealth, swiftness, and the killing blow. Many Tallarn forces have also come to appreciate the utility of the Sentinel Walker due to its effectiveness as a means of crossing even rough terrain swiftly without sacrificing firepower. Tallarn forces are often somewhat willful and independent, their traditional skills ill-suited to standing in static battle lines or holding fortifications. They could instead be creeping up on an enemy and executing them with the edge of a knife, or carefully placed shot. As a result, they are often employed as vanguard or reconnaissance forces, or as a spearhead of a concentrated attack, where their speed and stealth are at the greatest of use. Tallarns tend to be slow to put their faith in anyone other than themselves or their comrades, and they cringe at the expectations and strictures of more civilized imperial society. While Tallarns have learned to speak Low Gothic, they generally do not have time in their violent lives to learn how to read or write the universal language of the Imperium. Like many other regiments fighting in the periphery subsector of the Kalix sector, the Tallarn forces present there are mostly drawn from the forces left idle. A considerable number of Tallarn regiments of all kinds have been delivered to the Segmentum Obscurus, and when the call for reinforcement came from the Calyx sector, they were amongst those sent to fight within the Spinward front. The Tallarn have more than demonstrated their worth to the Imperium while they're there, their particular skills helping to combat Dark Eldar raiders attacking Calth, participating in vicious tunnel fighting in Vervius, and sabotaging Orc industry during the scouring of Mesa. Unfortunately, because of the slow progress of the forces in the Spinward front, and the limited resources available, the Tallarn have frequently found themselves engaged in long-term meat-grinder conflicts against mass foes. Lacking the forces to truly push back against the Orcs' advance, or crushing the Severan dominant, the war has become a brutal defensive conflict, with little to gain and everything to lose. Nonetheless, the tenacity and ruthless effectiveness of the Tallarn forces have earned them a fearsome reputation. Approximately 20 standard years after the Battle of Tallarn ended, the first Tallarn Desert Raider regiments of the Imperial Guard were formed. These regiments specialized in desert fighting and were highly adept at ambushing enemy forces in the sandy wastes of their desert world, or any other. The Tallarn Desert Raiders are organized like most Imperial Guard regiments, employing combined armed tactics that make use of infantry, artillery, and armored companies. Tallarn regiments are mostly made up of infantry, but they are also known for including one or more patrol companies, referred to as long-range reconnaissance, or more simply as recon companies. The Desert Raiders also employ specialized Rough Rider squadrons that make use of the alien mounts known locally on Tallarn as the Mukali. These mounts originate from the deserts of the Imperial world of Goru Prime, but have since been imported to other Imperial desert worlds such as Tallarn. To learn more about the Mukali, please check out our 40 Facts videos on the Mukali. The basic Tallarn Desert Raider tactical unit is a 10-man infantry squad. Squads are led by a Tallarn sergeant, and usually one Tallarn guardsman is equipped with a plasma gun. 2 Tallarn guardsmen can form a heavy weapons team armed with a missile launcher. To command a company or platoon of the Tallarn Desert Raiders requires grit, determination, and expertise. To command the respect of the men of Tallarn, an officer must be an expert rider, a consummate swordsman, a skilled marksman, and a fearless warrior. A job description that calls for the Tallarn captain or lieutenant. Almost without exception, Tallarn regimental officers are fully prepared, even eager to confront danger alongside their men, whether this means charging headlong into battle or infiltrating deep behind enemy lines. The equipment used by these Tallarn officers reflects the skills of the Tallarn artisans, from elaborate carved breastplates to gold-inlaid sword blades and decorative silk capes. The Tallarn Desert Raiders often undertake daring hit-and-run missions requiring them to operate behind enemy lines or otherwise far from any external support. For this reason, the Tallarn sergeants who command Tallarn squads are known for being particularly decisive and adept at operating independently of higher command. While this trait is valued by most Tallarn commanders, it has sometimes caused friction between Tallarn squads and the Imperial Guard forces from other regiments. The Tallarn Desert Raiders are also noted marksmen, employing a unique design of the M36 pattern lasgun, wholly indigenous to their force. This desert-adapted weapon has a longer barrel and a mechanism that is more fluid to operate than the standard issue pattern of the M36 lasgun, normally employed by the Imperial Guard. Due to their preference for hit-and-run warfare, the Tallarn have favored the use of the plasma gun and the standard pattern missile launcher amongst their infantry units. These special weapons are easily transported and are favored for their ability to cause severe damage to the enemy despite their simplicity of use and lack of bulk. Tallarn Desert Raiders also carry a mono knife. The mono knife is a one-handed melee implement that is one variant of the ubiquitous backup melee weapon for warriors all across the Imperium, be they lowly hive scum or the elite soldiers of the planetary governor. The mono knife utilized by the Tallarn Desert Raiders is a specially fashioned combat knife, with a superfine blade only a single molecule thick along the edge, that could easily cut through combat armor and never dull. These knives are carried by all members of the Tallarn Desert Raiders for use as both bayonets and a field tool. These distinctive curved knives, known on Tallarn as the Calig, come in many shapes and sizes and are preferred by natives of Tallarn over standard issue pattern combat knives, or bayonets. For most Tallarn guardsmen, it is their only close combat weapon. Some particularly fine examples are cast with a lion head's pommel. Many of these prized knives are uniquely manufactured and awarded to Tallarn officers and guardsmen in recognition of a battle victory or a heroic action. The size of a Calig can vary from that of a small belt knife, or those the size of a true sword. Tallarn-made power swords and chain swords also mimic the distinctive curved shapes of the Calig, which is a distinctive cultural artifact of the Tallarn people. An officer of the Tallarn Desert Raiders wears the General Service uniform issued to all members of the Imperial Guard regiments raised from Tallarn, regardless of their rank or specific military roles within the force. The Tallarn Desert Smock is a piece of utility clothing made out of very hard-wearing natural material. The Desert Smock usually hangs to just above the knee, and often has volumized sleeves. Some veteran Tallarn commanders modify this smock by narrowing the sleeves, because unwieldy pieces of cloths are not practical when working within the narrow confines of an armored vehicle. The Desert Smock traditionally has no pockets, and so all items must be carried in the webbing pouches, backpacks, and sling bags issued to all ranks in the regiment. The traditional headscarf worn by the people of Tallarn, called the Shema in the local Tallarn dialect, is the distinctive garment of the Tallarn people. They are worn by everyone from the world as a matter of social custom. The Shema acts as a protection against the worst effects of the twin sun's rays, and in the hottest conditions is sometimes worn after being soaked in water to help reduce the body's temperature and prevent sunstroke. The scarf also doubles as a dust mask, wrapped across the face to prevent inhaling dust and sand. Combined with goggles, this provides good protection against the worst effects of a sandstorm. Other standard issue clothing include a linen undershirt, combat trousers, heavyweight marching boots, and leg bindings. Tallarn Imperial Guardsmen will scavenge replacement equipment when necessary, and on campaign, their uniform often shows minor variations. And those were 40 facts about the Tallarn Desert Raiders. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's more lore on them, so we might make a part 2, but that's later down the road. Please comment down below with any suggestions on Imperial Guard regiments or pretty much anything in the Warhammer 40K universe that you guys would like us to discuss. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and then check out all the videos and especially the playlist that we have, because we've been doing this for a while and we have a lot of lore. So just go through our archives and check out whatever topic you might like. We have it divided by races. So thank you again for liking, commenting, and sharing. You guys are awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.